Testing, testing. Sweet. Happy Halloween. I'm sure everything is working here. You guys can hear the music. I think I got everything working. I've got a live subscriber count up here now. As we get new subscribers, that number will start going up. I gotta remember where this is at so I can point to it on video. I need to move my camera up just a little bit here. Where do we cut off? About here. Give me 1 second. Oh, let's go up a little bit. There we go. Morning, guys. Ollie, Chase, the wife's in here. Everybody say hi to the wife. Know if my phone's gonna charge. I think I killed an outlet, maybe. Maybe not. So we're gonna make some Halloween projects today. Don't really know what we're gonna make yet. Haven't come up with anything. I'm thinking some kind of a napkin holder. Obviously spooky themed. We could make a ghost napkin holder. We could make haunted house napkin holder, maybe. Maybe both. What are you guys doing this Halloween? You guys working? What are you up to? Let's see. I'm going to show you guys a tip on how to stain wood using just cheapo acrylic craft paint today. That's a cool one. Excited to take the youngest out trick-or-treating today. That's going to be awesome. I love trick-or-treating. This is my favorite time of year. And then, of course, after today, you know what starts tomorrow, right? Christmas. Christmas starts tomorrow. Another day in the office chair. I feel that, brother. Man, I'll tell you one thing, dude. I went from working with my hands for like the past 20 years and getting into all this. Like, I've always done the live streaming type thing for the past, 5, 6, 7 years. But dude, getting into this, spending time editing videos and stuff, you make a 20-minute video, you'll be sitting there at the computer for like 5 hours working on that thing. I am not used to, sitting there focused, dialed in, working on one thing for 5 straight hours. Used to being up and moving around. Engraving the lid on the white oak box. Heck yeah, dude. Heck yeah. You gonna go live when you do that, Chase? I'd like to catch some engraving, dude. That's cool. That's some stuff that I've never done before. So let's do first a napkin holder. Morning, Kevin. Welcome in. Welcome in. We're making some spooky stuff here today. Kind of late on the Halloween season. I was going to start with some Christmas, kind of decor items to give you guys some smalls that you can sell and things like that. But it's Halloween, man. We got to do a Halloween stream. So we're making some spooky stuff today. Let's get some pieces cut here. See if I can spin this camera around. Still learning how to position this camera while I'm using different tools and everything. So let's get this camera spun around. Let's see how we can do this here. Rotate my screen so I can see what's going on. That might work, huh? Something like that. Man, my shop is a mess, guys. I've got like cut off pieces everywhere. I had to put this little electric heater down here because I don't have the gas furnace on yet. So we're heating the room with electricity. We're just gonna kick a bunch of dust and stuff all over that thing and just hope for the best. I can't see chat right now while I cut these pieces. Let me go ahead and get my saw plugged in and set up here. I'll cut these pieces, we'll go back to the table, and then I can chat with you guys. I'm gonna make the messes some Halloween stuff to put around the house tonight, and then we're gonna throw that in our Halloween tote so we can bust it out next year and use it to decorate the house with. So I want to shorten this board up a little bit. So let's just cut this guy. Yeah, let's make a mess. So, napkin holders. Let's do a base first. How wide do we want this thing to be? How many napkins we want to put in here? Let's make it... We'll make it about 3 inches wide. That's quite a bit of napkins, right? Good healthy chunk. Probably get about 100 napkins in there, enough for a full event. Okay, let's do our base here. Then we need 2 sides. So let's go. How tall for our sides? Let's go about 5 inches tall. We'll get 2 of those cut. That one to mark our other piece so we know they're the same. There we go. We got our bottom, we got our 2 sides. Get you guys back around to the work table. All right. Got our base, got our 2 sides. Brandon, what's up, buddy? Brandon's a longtime friend of mine. We've got a few D&D campaigns that are on podcasts. Really fun stuff. I can still see your floor. You're doing just fine. That's because I just slept. Now, before I slept, you couldn't see any of that floor. It looked like I had like nice tan carpet down there. So let's go. What do we want to make first? So basically, our setup's going to look, something like that. Nice, simple napkin holder. But I want to do something different. Let's do a haunted house. Of course, we want to make both sides the same. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to draw my pattern on one. I'm going to cut that out, and then I'm going to trace my pattern onto this one and cut this one out. So let's go. What do we think of when we think of a haunted house? We think something like this, right? make our shapes super organic here so it doesn't just look like, you know, your average house. We want this thing to look like it's nice and spooky. Something like that, maybe? I think so. What do you think about that? You guys see that? Got our roof line drawn out here with a little chimney. Keep the Halloween stuff up for another week. No, Christmas starts tonight. We're decorating for Christmas tomorrow. Let's dig out the bandsaw and cut this sucker out. I really should have cleaned up before I went live. I hope you guys are ready to watch me clean. Let's go. Let's see, how far can I move you guys here? Let's move our cords. Oh yeah, check that out. Learning how to do things in a super tiny shop is kind of crazy. Kind of crazy. What do we get in this shop? All the tools. Sweet. And then I can spin you around. Keep the phone charging there. Spin you around so I can actually see what is going on here. There we go. All right. Well, here's part of the mess here. I've got all of my tools on rolling carts. Other than the bandsaw, I still need to take care of this one. I've got the drill press, the planer, the miter saw, the table saw. Everything is on rolling carts except for the bandsaw. So I think I'm going to be making a cart for that. It came with a stand, so I just put it on the stand. But let's get this guy out. Let's dig this guy out. Something like that. Doing some freehand work, so we're going to get rid of that fence there. Bring you guys in here so you can actually see what's going on. Da 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 da. How about that? Check that out. Okay. So we've got our first template right there. We're going to get that guy cut out. Mainly, what's going on, brother? We're making a haunted house napkin holder right now. I've got a few different projects that we're going to make. But we're starting with this. Jen, what's up, Jen? Everybody say hi to Jen. Okay, so gotta remember how to even use this thing. Do something like that. Cut this roof out. Maybe. What'd you guys do to my bandsaw? Uh-oh. Is my tension too high on my bandsaw? Is this the death of the wind bandsaw, guys? Right after I just bought the thing? Head over to the other accounts and get them subbed. Heck yeah, dude. Let me know when you do that because I made the sub counter right here and I'm trying to see if it works. It should be a live tracker. There it is. Look at that. Boom! Yeah, Jen, meet the wifey. Wifey, meet the Jen. Don't get scared. She's only mostly scared. I don't understand what's going on here, guys. Let's see. So that's tightening the tension. Let's try loosening the tension and see what is going on here. I mean, we're spinning free. That is like super loose. How loose are these things supposed to be? Is it my bearings that are tight? I mean, I've got like the perfect little hairline gap in here. All that's right. Belts are right. Mainly, what'd you do to my bandsaw, bro? What's up, Eco? How's everybody doing today? Look at those subs going up. We're almost famous, guys. We're almost famous. Trying to figure out this bandsaw. I don't understand what's going on here. Like it wants to move. I don't know. Let's try and make a cut and just see what happens, I guess. Just want to make kind of this sharp little angle here. I'm trying to make our roots look like it's caving in from years of haunting. Oh, like that. Yeah, in our chimney here. Takes that off a little bit. do you think about that for a roof line? I think that looks haunted, right? Got you 3 more subs left, comments also. Look at Manly in here doing the Lord's work. Thank you, Manly. Thank you, brother. Let's get this one traced onto our other piece here. Yo, Sap Shop, what's up, buddy? You ready to take the kids out trick-or-treating tonight? Clean the lid on this box 3 times now to get rid of the engraving that I screwed up. Jay, what'd you mess up, man? What happened to it? Talk to me. Welcome in, guys. We're making a spooky napkin holder here. Got a couple different projects I'd like to make today, so we might be live for a little while here. We got our one side cut out, now we're going to cut the other side out. Just the same as the first. What do you guys think a napkin holder sells? Guys? Something with like a cool theme like this has. If you were to throw the sucker on Etsy, marketing to hundreds of thousands of people, see, that's the cool thing about Etsy is it's not really like Marketplace where you've got a small group of people that you're trying to sell to. So you have to really think about that when you're coming up with your pricing. You're selling to a lot larger market. You know, when you're doing a little show, a little live event, or you're on Marketplace, you've only got a handful of people looking at your stuff, so you got to keep prices down. But when you're marketing and selling your products online, napkins mainly, bro. Come on. We can't all just wipe our mouths with poison oak leaves, man. Oh, I need to get some wheels on this thing, guys. It's the one big tool I have that's not on wheels and it drives me nuts. I'm old and I've got a bad back. I don't like lifting this stuff. Watch me struggle though. Ugh. I need Mrs. to come in here and clean up a little bit. Look at this freaking scrap wood pile. That is crazy. Uncalled for. Let's get back over here to the potatoes. We can figure out what we're going to do with this thing next. Ba-bam, ba-bam, ba-bam. Look at that, dude. It's like I've done this before. Oh, okay. So, now we've got kind of our side silhouette pieces cut out here. What else do we need to make for these? You guys think we should put like windows on them? Put a window with a ghost? should see the mess in my shop, dude. I'm sure, man. I'm sure. There for a minute, I was building farm tables so fast I didn't have time to clean. That's where this whole mess over here kind of originated from. I mean, I was cranking those suckers out like one right after the other. I had like 5 or 6 of them just back to back to back to back. It got nuts. It got nuts. You went to correct where your engraving was placed and moved it the opposite direction. That sucks, dude. That sucks. Got enough to clean up at home. I know, but this is like my home, so we need to clean this up too. Let's do. What would look cool on these? I'm thinking a window with a little ghost in it, like a little funny looking ghost. So if we did, it's decor, I'm not trying to make it look like an actual house. So I'm thinking probably like one big window so that we can paint a ghost in here and then put our window pieces on it. So I'm thinking like, 2¼ by 2¼ Let's just make that sucker square. So let's go. What do we want to do for the window? We need 2 of them. I think I got it. Let's go back to the bandsaw. Let's go back to the bandsaw. This is why I need my camera on some kind of like a pivoting thing, like an arm from the ceiling, so I can just kind of spin you guys around as I'm moving around. Let's go here. What did we say? 2¼ by 2¼ So let's go to the miter saw here. And let's get our 2¼ by 2¼ It's 2¼ there. Two and a quarter there. Plugged in here. Something like that. Then fish the bandsaw back out. I think we gotta plan this out a little better, huh? Let's fish that back out. We need to raise this guy back up. Then we'll get our fence on. And we're just gonna resaw this sucker. Right there. Alright, like that. Give us a little baby push block so we don't cut our fingers off on this thing, right? Let's cut that in half. Grain's running this way, so we want to keep our grain running up and down with the blade. We use our push block. Get rid of that. Now we've got two sides to our windows here. So we got the same window on both side pieces. Let's work on getting some paint on those so those can be drying. Now's where I show you guys a cool paint trick. Let me get some water real quick. I'll be right back here. I wonder if I've got any little artist brushes. That's a good question. What's the Boy Scout motto, guys? Who knows? Back to work for me later, Jen. Have a good day. We're going to work on painting our windows because these are going to take multiple colors of paint. So let's get out our paint that we just bought here. We want white for our ghosts. There we go. Cut. Let's get a little scrap block that we can use to paint off of here. This is going to be our paint palette. These have a little cap you got to take off? No. Okay. So we're going to do our ghost solid white. I think they'd make these packages easier to open. Okay, now we're gonna do just a nice little easy round shape for our ghost. Nothing crazy. We don't need to be extra, right? Do, 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 do. I don't know if you guys hear the music. I hope you can. I made it myself using AI software. Pretty cool stuff, huh? Get our ghost painted up here. That looks like a ghost to me, right? I don't know who's seen one, but I'm gonna call it a ghost. Do the same one on both sides. Do, do, do. Same ghost on both sides. Something like that. And we're gonna make this kind of rustic, so I'm really not worried about, everything being perfect sharp lines. We've got a saying in home decor, and that's, it's rustic. It's supposed to look like shit. I like it. I like it too. I do like it too. Okay, so we got our white ghosts on here. We need to, what do we want to make our trim color? Let's use black for our trim. Black screams haunted house to me. Let's do that. So what we're gonna do, rustic, it's supposed to look like shit. What we're gonna do is get the background of our windows painted here. I wonder if I've got a heat gun laying around that I can dry this paint with super quick. I'll bet you I do. Oh. There we go. Let's ramp up the speed on this project. Some of those small cups. Dude, these little small cups, get 100 of them for like $4. And when you're doing little projects with like stain or paint, anytime you're mixing anything up, they're awesome. You just mix it up in there, dump it out, throw it away, move on to the next one. I'm going to lie and act like I already had them and I didn't just buy them specifically with the paint to do the screen. Let's try these suckers. I'm gonna do a little test here real quick before we actually put it on our window. Where'd the brush go? Let's do a little test spot right here so I can make sure that we're gonna get the effect that we want. This will be our test ghost. Right there. Nice little test ghost. Try him up. Welcome in, guys. Welcome in. Make sure you subscribe. Hit the subscribe button. Make that number go up. That's nice and dry. That was nice and dry. Okay, so here's what we're gonna do. I want my windows to look transparent, right? So you can get the effect, like you can actually see down into the window there. So what I'm gonna do is we're going to paint the house purple. Okay, so let's picture this. We're going to paint the house purple. So we want this to be transparent, but being a window, it's going to be a little darker. So let's go with our purple. We're going to have a black frame around it. So that's going to kind of be our contrast between the siding on the house and actually seeing into the window is going to be our black frame. Let's see if I can pull this off. So there's a trick with this acrylic paint where you can mix it 1 part paint with 2 parts water. I'm not going to measure it out. What I'm going to do is put a little bit in a cup like that. I'm going to take some water. Just put a little bit at a time in there. And what we're essentially doing is making like a watercolor acrylic. And that's going to allow the pigment in this paint to soak into the wood and dye the wood instead of sitting on top of it to where you're not going to see the wood grain below it. Use watered down acrylic. Yeah, so I went to the Art Institute of Indianapolis. That doesn't really look as thin as I want it. So I went to the Art Institute of Indianapolis for graphic design, and part of that was, fine arts. So I got to learn a lot about painting, a lot about color theory, a lot about design. And this is one of the tricks that I used to use on canvas work. I would water it down and I would use acrylic as watercolor. Because one, it keeps you from buying acrylic paints and watercolor paints. You just buy the acrylic, and that's all you need. And two, you can get really cool layering effects. You can do the same thing on wood. So you mix it so it's fairly watery. It's got a little bit of pigment in there, and that pigment's going to soak into the wood. You let that dry, and when you come back with a second layer, you can actually do, it's kind of shading, but it's like a transparency shading to where it's going to go from solid to transparent. And solid being the more layers that you build up, the more solid that pigment becomes on top of the wood. So we're going to use a paper towel. for our brush here. So what we're gonna do first is figure out how these freaking paper towels open up. That's kind of annoying. Let's tear us off a little square. Something like that, something we can just fold up and hold on to. Use it as our little makeshift brush. Now this is going to soak in, being a paper towel, this is going to soak in the water with some of that pigment. And unlike a brush, if you were to dip a brush in there, you're going to pick up any of that acrylic paint that's not mixed in, and it's actually going to go in between the bristles, giving you solid paint. So using a paper towel is one way to ensure that you're going to only use that watercolor that you just mixed up. So we'll dip that in there. Let's get our test piece here. And I want to do two different things. I want to try one just going next to it. And then I want to try one side actually covering it and see what effect we get with that. I kind of like that right there. I don't know if you can see that or not all the way back here, but I've got one side to where I actually covered the white, so it gives it kind of a transparent purple look to it, almost like you're looking through a purple pane on a window. And I kind of like that. So with our paper towel here, we're just going to go around and stain our wood, bleeding right over the top of our white. And I'm going to leave a lot of this wood grain exposed here. I'm going to go back and wipe off what we had on our white. Right like that. So that's our window pane with our ghost in it now. You can still see all the wood grain back behind it. Let's do the same thing on the other one. Going right over the top of our white. So that way it looks like our ghost is actually through a pane of glass. Had to dab off our excess here. And now we've got two matching ghosts inside of windows. Set our purple off to the side because we're going to use that again for the house. What do you think about that? Two little ghosts in the windows there. Let's get those dry. I'm ready for some trick-or-treating. I'm ready to eat some candy. The new episode of the Welcome to Derry comes out today. I'm excited to watch that. All right, there's our ghosts in the windows. Now we need to get the black frame around the windows so that we know that that is for sure a window. I need to move my camera up just a little bit again, don't I? Let's get that put up. Now you guys can actually see me. Rinse off our white. Okay, now let's get our black frame painted on our window here. Gonna bring it back and see if you can get, you gotta wear a costume to get candy. Only I don't know if you've seen the nonsense everywhere, but kids are big on some 6-7 thing that's going on right now. Saw a Halloween costume where the wife wears a sweatshirt with a 6 and the husband wears a sweatshirt with a 7. I thought that would get all the kids in the neighborhood going as we were walking around. I'm gonna have to see if I can't put something like that together. So let's get our black frame here. I'm gonna do the edges first. We're gonna make this solid black because we want this to, you know, look like a freshly painted window trim. Don't really need any wood grain showing through. That way it'll keep our window kind of transparent. It'd be an awesome little product to throw up at, you know, like a little farmer's market stand right before fall time hits. People start thinking about Halloween. They start wanting to get out all their fall decor. Make sure this is all solid. We want this to look high quality, handmade products. That's what we're going for here. High quality, handmade products. Get all our edges painted, and then we'll get a nice little window frame put around the outside of our window. Do 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 do. Welcome in, guys. Anybody that's new here, make sure you hit subscribe. We're trying to get that number up as high as we possibly can. Yeah, buddy. Get some more black out here. could really batch these suckers out too. While I'm making this, I'm just sitting here thinking, like, man, you cut out, a good dozen of these windows and just sit and paint all of them in a series. Maybe you could do different monsters behind the windows. You could do ghosts behind one of them. You could make another one with like a Frankenstein back behind. You could make one with like a zombie silhouette back behind it. I'm doing this one kind of fun with these little ghosts because I know that the missus is really going to like them. Now that those are done, let's go through and do our little frame around our window on the outside. For that, we're just going to do nice, neat, straight lines. Don't worry about being too awful perfect. It is high quality handmade, but it's also handmade. We want this to look like something that, somebody actually made for decor in someone else's home. So when you go to sell it, it doesn't just have that Hobby Lobby, spit out by a machine down a conveyor belt look to it. You could also sub this window out for a door. Make it look like an open doorway. What would say open doorway to you? Maybe like an arched door? Do an arched rounded top so it looks like the monster is answering the door to the haunted house. That'd be pretty cool. Get our frame on our other window done here. All right. Let's go, guys. Those look sweet. Hit it with the heat gun to dry it. Get our brush rinsed off. Actually, you know what? I want to do one more thing. Let's make these windows look like they have window panes. Because that says haunted house to me more than just a modern, square framed window. See if we can't do something right down the middle here. Something like that. Maybe we'll add some kind of dripped black coming down here just a little bit. We want it to make it, we want to make it look a little bit rough. Is kind of my thought. So I did, just kind of some little dripped edges there on it. So these are our little windows. Mandy, welcome in, welcome in. We're making little haunted house napkin holders. That's our first project. So we've got the silhouette of our haunted house. We're going to put a window on the front of it. We're going to paint our house. We're going to paint our base, and then we'll put it all together. Just some fun little Halloween decor. Since it's spooky day, what are you doing for spooky day today? Ooh, I really like that look. Check that out. That is super cool. Okay. New technique activated. Hang on. It looks more like an actual window. Going out for a hike? That sounds awesome. Fall hikes and winter hikes are sweet. I don't know if you can see that or not. That looks like a glare on a window pane. Let's do the same on this other one. I'm going to put them side by side so I can make sure that they look the same here. This kind of comes from Bob Ross, right? I accidentally touched a spot with the brush that I didn't mean to touch and discovered a whole new look and a whole new style. He used to call that happy little accidents. Let's get these dried real quick so we can move on to the next thing. Them pinstripes, right. Kind of looks like glares or, kind of dust on an old window. It's a pretty cool effect. Well, I'm going to act like I meant to do it. Bob Ross, he was the man. Awesome guy. Hate to hear everything awful that was happening during like the height of his career. Okay, so now we've got our windows made here. Check those out. That's our windows. So those are done. We're going to set those to the side. Now let's get our base and our sides painted. And to do that, we're going to use our mixture. Mandy, I don't think you saw. So I've got regular cheapo acrylic craft paint, and we mix this 2-to-1 with water. So we're going to use 1 part paint, 2 parts water. I've got that mixed up in here, and what that's going to do is it's just going to dilute the pigment, and we're going to use a paper towel for our brush, so the paper towel will suck up the water with the pigment in it, and it'll actually be like using a colored stain on our wood instead of using a brush that's just going to leave it solid. You'll be able to see the wood grain back behind it. So let's make up another paintbrush. I'm going to make this one a little bigger since we're covering a much larger area. Let's make up another paintbrush here. Right like that. Fold it into four so you got a nice little rounded edge. And this is going to be our paintbrush. Go ahead and dip it in. Just in case we picked up any solid pigment, I'm going to go over to our test piece and just do a few little dabs. Get that solid pigment off. And then we'll start covering our sides and our bottom. Looks like we're probably going to have to mix quite a bit of this up here. So now we've got a colored wood stain. And it's okay if you leave a little of the natural grain showing through, you know, that's kind of the beauty of a wood stain is you can really see that wood behind it. So by leaving some of that natural, you're just complementing your rustic style so that when you're done, it looks something like that. Now we've got a purple stained piece here. Looking good. Thanks, man. Thanks, man. We're getting there. Let's get all these done here so we can move on with it. Mildly going for speed. Mildly. Like that. We're going to have to make up some more paint to get the other side done. All right. There's that side. Let's get this side on our bottom done here, and then we'll make up some more paint. Time to pack out. Hey, have so much fun, seriously. Hiking in cold weather like this is awesome. All the leaves are turning. Watch this to see how things turn out. Yeah, the VOD will be up shortly after this live ends, so if you want to go back and watch it, you can go back and watch it. I might end up taking the VOD and downloading it and just doing, you know, kind of a quick cut up replay, I guess you could say. I don't really want to make a long form video out of this since Halloween's today. Nobody's going to be watching it for a year. But the VOD will definitely be up there if you want to see the end of it. And I'll also post some pictures in the community tab here on YouTube. Okay. Get the base done here. And the other cool thing about staining with acrylic paint like this is it washes off because it's all water-based. Normally, if you were to use a stain without a glove like this, your finger would end up stained for at least a week. But being water-based, we can take some Dawn soap and rinse it right off. Get the last of our paint mix out of here so we can mix up some more and know that the ratios are correct. Okay, there's those three pieces done. Let's mix up some new paint, get us a new brush made up. And we've just got water with our cheapo acrylic craft paint here. This stuff's like 96 cents a bottle. And if you know you're really going to use a lot of it, you're going to do like a batch of things, you can actually get a bigger container and just squeeze the whole bottle in there. These come out to 2 fluid ounces. So you mix this 2 fluid ounces with 4 fluid ounces of water, and you can just make one big container of it and sit there and dip out of that container. Use a mason jar or something like that, something with a big wide lid in the top. Get that nice and mixed up. It's looking exactly how we want it to look. Should have put some plastic down so I don't end up painting my workbench. We're just going to be careful with it. We'll put some plastic down for the next thing. Let's make another brush. Let's get our sides done here. See, I told you I was going to paint that workbench. I had to say something about it. There's another spot. All right, let's go ahead and put our plastic down now. I was going to wait, but I really don't want to end up with a purple workbench. Mrs. would probably be fine with it. Let's get us a little piece of plastic and put it down. Give me 1 second. Actually, I'm going to go ahead and take a really quick break. I'll be back in like 5 minutes with plastic. We'll put that down and we'll finish painting all these. Now we got some plastic down, so we're not just painting our whole work table. Hey, what's up, Ray? Not getting any video. Yeah, that was a break screen, buddy. We're back. We're back. We're making a haunted house napkin holder. So right now we've got our sides cut. We've got our base cut, all painted up. And I made two little windows that we're gonna put on our sides after we get all this finished painting here. Let's get our paint that we mixed up. So I made a water-based acrylic using just cheapo 95-cent craft paint. It's probably like $1.12 now because, you know, that's the world that we live in. So you mix this 2-to-1 with water. You mix 1 part paint, 2 parts water. And I'm mixing into these little cups so, you know, I can just dump them out, throw them away, move on to the next project. But this is something that you can really batch out if you're planning on doing like farmers markets or, you know, something like that, something like Etsy maybe. You can really make like 10 of these, paint them all at the same time, tack them all together, tuck them away in a tote somewhere ready to sell. And within a few hours, you've got, you know, $20 a piece. 10 of those, you sell them all, that's 200 bucks. So let's get our brush that we made out of some paper towel. We're gonna get our water-based stain that we just made, because you can still see the wood grain through it, being nice and watered down like that. We're just gonna finish up all of our pieces here so we can get them all put together. What do you think of the stream, buddy? Does everything look good? Everything sound good? I got some music playing in the background. Made the music myself using an AI software. So you're listening to New Roots Dynamic original Halloween soundtrack. And I'm going to show you guys how you can layer this stuff up too to get a pretty cool effect once we get everything coated. There's that one. Get the sides on this one done. Yeah, I've got kind of a whole streaming setup that I've built out here now. Got the camera working, got the mic working, everything's running through my laptop. I've got that all being published by a software that's streaming into YouTube. Pretty cool stuff. Get our stain down into this little crack here. And this is a cool way to make, you know, some water-based wood stains. You can really mix up any color you want. You can mix these paints. I got a whole set that's got, you know, every basic color in it. But if you wanted something that was like a dark purple, you just take some purple, mix it with some black, put it in your cup, throw the water in there, and then now you have a dark purple. You can layer this paint up and get some shading with it to where you put the base coat really light and you've got a lot of the wood grain showing through. And then as you layer up your layers on top of it, you can kind of feather that out to where, you know, it's nice and solid on the bottom. And as your layers get thinner, you see the wood grain through to the top. So it's kind of like a transparent gradient. using this paint method. And our side grain and our end grain here, it's a little harder to get stained out. You got to really blotch it in there. Stomach is growling. I haven't eaten anything yet today. Get the side of this one, then we'll get the back side of each one of these. There we go. Kind of hard to get down into that little nook way down inside there next to our chimney. We're going for kind of a rustic look on these, so I don't have anything sanded down perfectly smooth. We made it out of a cedar fence picket. Super cheap, you know, they're what, like $3 a piece, and out of one fence picket, you can probably make about 4 of these. So for $3, we've used 3 colors, so $4 worth of paint and some paper towels that you probably have laying around. You can come up with $200 worth of product. That's pretty crazy. Anybody else use fence pickets for some of their projects? Awesome way to get some cedar for really cheap. If you were to just buy, you know, even rough sawn cedar, it's ridiculous the price that they charge for it. And if you need it thicker, send that stuff through the planer, glue it up to the thickness that you need, and now you've got a thicker piece of cedar that you can use. Okay, let's get the backs of these stained up here. And remember, don't go too heavy with this stuff. We want to leave a lot of this wood grain showing to give it that real rustic kind of feel. Ollie, you must be my neighbor, man. Every time we get a hard wind, we've got fence pickets that blow off of our fence. I've gone through and sunk screws into that fence I don't know how many times now. Whoever built it used these teeny tiny little, I mean, they're like 1.25 inch nails to put the thing together. And we bought the house super cheap is kind of the one benefit that we got, but man, whoever built that fence, it is haggard. Pretty much just kind of grown accustomed to going out there and fixing the fence every time we have a little storm. And eventually on these streams, you guys will see me making a lot of really cool stuff. So the main thing that I do for my actual business is large furniture pieces. So I think I've got a line on some pecan slabs. Yes, I pronounce it pecan because I'm from the Midwest. You guys call it pecan, pecan. But anyways, I got a line on these pecan slabs. Pecan, to anybody that doesn't know, is actually a species of hickory, and it's about the same hardness on the Janka scale as hickory. Um, Hickory is one of the best woods that you can make furniture out of. Most of the most of the hardwood chairs that you see out there are hickory, but pecan has got a much better grain to it. It's got a much better texture to it, grain pattern. So I'm really excited. I've got a line. This lady's got 6 pecan slabs, and I'm gonna pick those up for $600. So it's $100 a slab. They're 6 feet long. They're 30 inches wide. So, you know, with 2 slabs, I can make the table as wide as I possibly want. Or they're 3 to 4 inches thick a piece. So as far as like table bases or table legs go, they're perfect for cutting down sections and gluing those up to make some table legs. Neighbor had about an 8-foot long section blow over this year. He didn't want to deal with it, so I kept it. Like, hey man, flew into my yard. Yeah, I feel bad for my neighbors, man, because sometimes I don't catch it, and we'll just have, you know, a hole in the fence somewhere. And luckily, we don't have a dog or anything like that, so there's nothing to worry about on that side. But I feel bad for my neighbor because I'm like, dude, I know for a fact he's gone out behind his house and he's looked over at my fence and he's seen that one missing fence picket. Probably thinks I'm super lazy, not just getting out there and fixing it immediately every time, but I work, man. You gotta keep busy. All right, cool. We got all our sides done here. Let's clean up our purple here. Let these kind of dry up just a little bit. And then I'm going to do a second layer. We're going to do just a little bit of texturing with some black. And then we'll put it all together. Be finished with it. So let me get rid of this purple. And I will be right back in here. Actually, we'll hang on to that. We're going to do a second layer. I can mix some more into that. I'll be right back. All right. So let's determine which side do we want facing out. I like that side of this one. I like that side of this one. And then our base, we're going to have that facing up. So let's dry these real quick. I'm going to keep it back pretty far so I don't have to worry about my plastic melting to my table. Welcome in, guys. If you're new here, make sure you hit that subscribe button. We're trying to get this number as high as we can. That's a live tracker, so as soon as you hit that subscribe button, that number's going to change. Ray, he turned it into planter boxes and sold those things. If he knows what he's doing. Let's get another brush made up here. Do you guys have any luck with planter boxes this year? I sold a few of them. I've got designs on my Facebook page if you look up my business name on Facebook. I got a few of them on there. I think I might have a short that I made on here as well. So this is going to be our outside. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to hit the bottom of these, and what that's going to do is it's going to sit on top of the wood grain now and kind of leave a feathered effect, a transparent gradient going across this. So let's hit the bottom, and then we'll just kind of work that up here. We'll do kind of streaks, kind of stripes going up there, right like that. You can see that's starting to give us a little bit of a weathered pattern on that piece. Let's go ahead and hit the other side so it's the same. Start at the very bottom where you want it the darkest so you can work out most of your pigment down towards the bottom of your piece there. And we're just going to kind of layer it and feather it out. Something like that. Before it really gets a chance to soak in, we're going to grab our heat gun again. Yo, what's up, Electric? Welcome in, welcome in. Can't hear anything because my laptop has no speakers. You need to get some of these, Ray. He can't hear me, but, you know, get you some of these. Hook them into that. So with this broadcast into there. I don't know sign language, obviously. We're going to dry these up. One more new sub. Look at that number going up. If you only knew the amount of time that it took me to make that little live tracker and actually get it to work. Crazy. Crazy. All right, cool. That's dry. So we're making, Electric, some haunted house napkin holders, right? So we've got our two sides. We've got our base right like that, okay? Slip your napkins in there. And we've got these cool little ghosts peeking through a window that are going on each side. So now what we need to do, since these windows just look super oddly placed on these by themselves, is we're going to make up a black and we're going to feather our edges with black to match the black trim that we have on our window and kind of tie the whole piece together here. So the same as we did with our purple, we're going to make a wash with our black, a stain. And if you didn't see, we take a little cup like this. Spooky, I like it. I know. I had to celebrate the last day since I missed making spooky pieces for Halloween season on the channel. I figured we'd just do a whole live stream and make a couple things here today. So what we're going to do is we're going to mix up 1 part paint with 2 parts water. Okay? I don't need a whole lot of this because I'm not going to use a whole lot of it. But you see we've got just a little bit of paint in the bottom of our cup. We're going to pour in a little bit of water. 2 to 1, you can just guesstimate like I am, or if you're one of those guys that are super anal about it, you can get out some tablespoons and actually measure out 2 tablespoons of water, 1 tablespoon of paint. This is how to make a nice little cheap 96-cent water-based stain for your wood, and you can make any color that you want. I've got a whole set here that has, you know, all of your basic colors in it. But even if you wanted to mix up a color, you can mix up purple and white and make a really light violet, and then you can have a really light violet stain. So pretty cool stuff there. Take our little popsicle stick and give it a stir. Get it mixed up nice and even all the way throughout. What this is doing is it's breaking down the pigment and the paint and creating a water base so that you don't have to spend a crap ton of money. I don't know if you've seen like the Minwax water-based stain, but it's ridiculous. And all it is pigment and water. Don't tell them I told you that. I don't need them sending somebody after me or anything, you know. We all know how crazy those big companies get. You're gonna make a paintbrush. We're using paper towel because this is just gonna soak up the water with that pigment in it. And if there's any big chunks, they won't get caught in the bristles like they would on a brush, right? This is just soaking off the top of the water. We're going to make this one a little smaller than we did the last one because I really want to get, you know, kind of a feathered edge and almost like a shadow effect with this black paint. So let's picture if our moon was up here on the top right and it's casting our light down towards this side of the house, all of our shadows are going to be on this far edge, okay? The key to making these things look great is to really think about stuff like that. We could just go around the entire border with black and feather all that in, but it doesn't give any kind of a natural look or feel to the piece. And if you want people to spend their money on it, you know, you have to immediately catch their eye as they're coming up past your booth. So let's get this water paint that we mixed up here. Remember, we're going to do our shadows on this bottom left. So we're going to start where it's going to be the darkest. We're going to come in through here and hit this whole bottom left side here. Then we're going to go over here where we know it's going to be the darkest on this side and hit all that. We know that this side of the roof's going to be dark, so we'll hit it. This side of this little peak is going to be dark, so we'll hit it. And everything else is going to be lighter because our moon's coming from this side. So now we're going to go through real light and just kind of feather in some of our black here. And it's okay to leave it blotchy. You know, we want this to look handmade. We want people to know that we put our time into making this piece. So we're just going to kind of shade it up. Keep our corner here nice and dark. And then we're going to end up with an effect right like that. Let's get the same on the other side. The other side, so the way this is going to set is it's going to set like this and it's going to set like this, right? So if our moon is hitting it and coming from this side, we're going to do the opposite side on the other side. So we set these side by side so I don't forget which side is which. Get our water-based stain paint on here. And again, we're just going to hit the whole bottom all the way across. All the way across. We're going to hit our whole side right like that. We're going to hit this side of the roof going up our chimney here. And then we're going to hit this side of our little A-frame roof. And then we're going to come in and just kind of blend it all up. Blend it all up. Go ahead and hit our second spot twice down here at the bottom to keep it nice and dark. And now we've got two sides that are the same but opposite. Okay? Our next step is going to be putting our windows on our houses. So what I'm going to do for that is grab me some glue. We're going to use Titebond 2. There's no need for 3 because we don't need these to be completely waterproof. You know, it's not taking a huge beating. We don't need the hardest wood glue in the world. And I'm also going to use this 2-part CA glue. And what the CA glue is going to do is it's going to bond and it's going to hold it tight while that wood glue sits and sets up. That way we don't have to clamp anything down. We don't have to be crazy with it. So let's kind of see where our window is going to go. Right like that. We're going to get our wood glue on here. Need to get some more wood glue apparently. We don't need to go real crazy. You know, we don't want a lot of glue squeezing out or anything like that. We're just going to get enough to ensure that we've got a good hold. I'm not putting any of it near the edge, so we shouldn't have any squeeze out at all to clean up. Get that rubbed in here so it can kind of soak into the wood grain a little bit. It's looking good, I think so. I think so. It's almost like I planned it out. Got a little too much glue on this one, so I'm going to pull some of that back off. Wipe it on our plastic. Okay, now we're going to take our CA glue, and I'm just going to put a few little dabs on here. Little dab there, little dab there, little dab there, and a little dab there. Just one in each corner. we're going to take our activator, hit some right in the center here, and then press our window right into place, right like that. Hold it for about 5 or 6 seconds. By that time, your CA glue is nice and set up. We've got a good bond on that. We're going to do the same thing with our other side. Shading adds to it nicely. Man, that's my whole theory, right? So I've been an artist my entire life. And a couple good things that I've learned over the years is that it's okay to take something that someone else did and reproduce that, as long as you're doing something to make it your own. Add something to it, take something away from it. I believe it was Pablo Picasso said, what did he say? He said, good artists copy, great artists steal. Okay? And what he meant by that is, you know, by this day and age, and even in his age, there has been so much art that's been produced everywhere. When you're doing woodworking, if you think that you're doing something new, chances are somebody else throughout the world over the past 5,000 years has already produced that. You're just making your iteration of it, okay? I've seen these made before, you know. It's a napkin holder. It's a haunted house. There's nothing crazy. There's nothing real special about it. But by adding these little textures, by adding our shadows, by adding the window with the little ghost that's peeping through, we're taking that classic napkin holder and we're putting our spin on it. So now what we're going to do, we need to attach our base to our sides. So first, I want to make sure everything's going to sit nice and neat here. Okay. So what we're going to do is get our wood glue on, and we're going to do the same thing with our CA glue and use it as kind of a holding agent while our wood glue sets up over the next couple hours and really bonds these pieces together. So I'm going to do 2 neat little stripes like that, leaving a little gap in the center. We're going to do the same thing on both sides. Do, 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 do. Music's kind of cool. Would you believe I made all 6 of these songs in like 5 minutes? There we go. So we've got our 2 strips of wood glue that's going to really bond and give us our strength. We're also going to put a few dabs of CA glue on each side. Then we don't have to deal with clamps. We don't have to sit and wait an hour for all of this to bond. We hold it for about 5 seconds, and then we're set up and we're ready to move our piece. So you can see our pattern there. We've got 2 strips of wood glue, our 3 little dots of our CA glue. We're going to set that. I'm going to hit both pieces of this with our activator, right like that. And then we're going to press it all together. Make sure everything's lined up. Hold it for a second and let our CA glue set up here. Right like that. That side's a little loose. We can pop some brad nails in it. I don't want to get my compressor out and deal with all that. It's in the garage. But that right there is our napkin holder. Pretty cool little piece. We've got the little subtle shading on it that, you know, gives us the kind of rustic feel that we're going for. We'll set that there and let that just continue to set up. What do you think we should make next? Soldier, what's going on, buddy? Been watching, gotta eat and run. Yeah, go get you some lunch. I haven't ate myself yet. I might actually end up ending the stream, grabbing something to eat, and then coming back and going live again. Yes. A lot of times I would just skip lunch, but we've got trick-or-treating tonight, which is going to push dinner back to like 10 or 10:30 or 11. So I don't want to wait till 11 o'clock tonight to eat. So I'm going to go grab some lunch. We'll leave this guy here, let him continue to set up. Thanks for stopping in, everybody. Got to get back to making another jewelry box. Ooh, that's going to be awesome, Ray. That's going to be awesome. All right, everybody have a nice day. I'm going to rock and roll out of here, get some lunch. I'll come back. We might work on building a shop stool today. Give you a little sneak peek here. I went and got some leather. You can see the texture on that. Went and got some pleather, so I'm going to make myself a shop stool, and we're actually going to upholster the top of it. So it's nice and cushiony on my butt cheeks while I'm working all day. So you want to tune back in later, we'll go ahead and get that started. All right, everybody get some lunch. We'll meet right back here as soon as we're done eating. Bye.